Good evening, Oregon Trail Council and Scouters. We glad to have you tonight. Got a good crew on board, an august group, as it were. Lots of representation out of Cascade District. Thank you so much. And we got Kelly from up north to represent the fine Benton folks. Very, very nice. Scott, you're here tonight. Oh, we got Laura and Ian, Eugene. Got so many folks that I just can't get them all named properly. It has to do with being tongue-tied. Scott, did you want to kick us off tonight? You had some good stuff to say about trail smoke.
Yeah, actually, I got nothing tonight, Randy. No, I'm just kidding.
We're done. See you later. Bye.
I want to start off by saying and just thank everybody involved with the virtual day camp. It was our first attempt to do a virtual activity in the council, a council-wide virtual activity, and I thought it went off just great. We had people from, I think, Virginia, from Michigan, several people from our council. We ended up having 83 participants go through it. I was able to jump on the Friday closing, and just to see all the smiling faces and the scouts talking about some of the activities that they did during the course of the week was great. And I think one of the things that it really provided for us is the opportunity to understand, you know, what we did well and what we maybe be able to can do a little bit better if we are faced with continuing to do some additional virtual programs like that. So great success. Again, the thing that does it for me in scouting is seeing the smile on the kids' faces when they're involved in the program, and it was a lot of fun to watch that. In addition to that, we'll mention that on September 12th, they have the second Family Fun Fest coming up. So that's September 12th, and really encourage everybody to go on and check that out on the 12th. They've had great successes with the first one that they did and the camp-in that they did earlier on in the year, and looking forward to that one as well. A couple of things we'll mention. The auction is September 18th coming up, and that's one that we've actually got some participation from people outside of the council as well. So that'll be interesting to see how all of that goes. September 18th, we've got just a ton of silent auction items, and we're still working on some additional live auction items, and really looking forward to that as well. We do have a few people that'll be in here at the office doing it, but we have a lot of people that'll be just watching from home or having small watch parties. Again, the nice thing with doing these things virtually is the fact that you can participate no matter where you are, not only in our council, but across the country as well. Golf tournament. I will mention that in the trail smoke that just came out today, that we actually had the wrong date on it. We actually had October 4th. It said Monday, October 4th. Well, October 4th is a Sunday, and we're not going to drag people out there to golf on Sunday. The actual date is October 5th. So our golf tournament is October 5th, and we're, you know, if you have a desire to play in that tournament, let us know. That's coming up. Do want to mention real quick, as you said, Randy, in Trail Smoke, my article this month really kind of focused on communication. And I think it's important at this time to start, if we haven't been communicating with our units, we need to communicate with our units. That means unit leadership, that means at the council level, that means at the district level. We need to make sure that we've got the communication flowing back and forth between our units and the individuals in our units. We really, if they've been somewhat idle at this point, I think it's really important that they start ramping up and start meeting in some fashion. They can determine what that's going to look like. I know there's a lot of units that are doing almost every other week, doing 1 week where they'll meet virtually and another week where they'll meet in person. However you choose to do it, we just encourage you to make sure that your units are meeting and they're getting the scouting program. We don't want our youth to lose interest because we're not doing anything. So we talked about that. In addition, I talked a little bit about what we're doing as a council to try to make sure that we're communicating to everybody as well. And I would ask those of you that are on this Zoom meeting or view this Zoom meeting that you make sure that help us make sure that we get out to everybody, all of our people involved in the scouting program. As of right now, we're doing these weekly Zoom meeting or fireside chats. We've got a monthly, and do you remember how many in a row, Randy? It's been a good year where the last week of the month we've been consistent with sending our trail smoke letter out.
It's either 9 or 10 in a row now, Scott.
Yeah, and so we're making sure that we communicate through our trail smoke newsletter, through our fireside chats, and in addition, when there's updates, either at the state level or updates related to COVID-19, we've really been trying to communicate that and kind of help our units understand what the requirements are, as best as possible, and help them make a decision on whether they're going to meet, how they're going to meet, what that's going to look like for them. Do want to mention, and this is fairly new, that there are some additional changes to advancement. Wanted to let everybody know that swimming, and the information I got said swimming remains a major health and safety concern amongst amid the coronavirus pandemic. And with that in mind, the swimming rank requirements for second class and first class may be deferred until each scout's next rank as necessary through Life but Not Eagle. So there is that. There's some other changes on here. Do want to mention that with the ongoing pandemic, local councils have been twice granted the authority to extend the time frame for Eagles for up to 3 months each time, now totaling a possible 6-month extension. So we do have that. We have the ability to grant additional 3-month extensions through the end of December, the end of this year. So there are some changes. If you're interested in that, I'll work with Rob and we'll try to get that information out so everybody does get those updates on advancement and helping their scouts move forward and advance in our program through this pandemic and these trying times. So still giving them opportunities to do so and helping them along the way. So again, we'll get that information out to everybody, and please pass it along. And I think at this point, that's about it, Randy, for me.
Cool, Scott. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Now we can start working on the next trail smoke, right?
Yeah.
And Rob had asked me to write some things down, and I got to tell you that I just spaced it out. But it happens when you get old, I guess. And some of the gray-haired people on here know exactly what I mean. It's about forgetting things. I ran across 2 things today that were completely divergent, if you will. One was a Facebook post from a Webelos Den leader lamenting the fact that all 5 of his Webelos bailed out before the start of the year, before the start of the program for his pack for next month. This is on Facebook. And he said he did a quick survey of parents and to discover that one of the kids claimed he was tired of all the virtual meetings, and another kid said that it just wasn't interesting anymore. One of the parents said that they were tired of having to take care of their kids all the time. And one of the kids said he wasn't going to join. He wasn't going to come back because his buddy wasn't coming back. So there was a twofer on that one. Okay. So that was one point of view. Okay. The other point of view is that I was talking to another Weebelow's Den leader about a different topic today. And that Weebelow's Den leader was able to fit me in the 30 minutes that was available before she had to leave to go on a hike with her Weebelow's Den. So we got both ends of the spectrum going on here. Now, the one that was going on a hike is in the Oregon Trail Council. And she has 7 kids returning to scouting in her Weebelow's Den. She had 7 last year. She has 7 again this year. So what do we think is the difference between those two scenarios that I just laid out? And Scott, you mentioned a big chunk of it right there. You know, we've got communication that we have to go back and forth. We have to send the message and actually receive the message. We have to appeal to what the kids want to do, right? So how is that working across the rest of the council? And Dean, I'd like to hear from you about your troop here in another few minutes, if you don't mind. What's our experience across the council? Kelly, have you got any idea? Kelsey, you got any ideas? Are we hearing both ends of this spectrum out there?
So as I think about your 2 stories, I think what the one was missing was some outdoor activities, you know, some where they could actually get together and be outdoors, still be socially distant. So it sounds like they were doing too many virtual meetings. And I can see where that would get boring for the parents or the youth. And, you know, for my crew, you know, we try to get out about every other week, but we're outside. So we're not actually meeting inside, but we're still meeting and having a good time. So I think that in person, however you do it, is missing.
Yeah, I think it's pretty solid. And we just cannot afford to lose. We can't afford to lose membership, and we really cannot afford to lose Cubs, because the Cubs crossing over is just crucial to our continuing our big programs.
And Kelly, I agree with you. It's in-person meetings, but I think, like you said, I think so much of it is that outdoor experience. You know, I mean, this is the time of year in Oregon that you got to be outdoors. You just have to be outdoors. You know? As I sit in my office talking about this, but
you ought to be outdoors like I am.
Yeah. You know, I look back, and Deanne can probably talk about this too, but once we opened up all of our camp properties and made them available to our units to go out, as long as they were practicing, you know, proper social distancing and masks and doing all the things correctly, all of a sudden we had a ton of our units trying to book our facilities. And it's the use at our camps has just been amazing, because everybody's starving for that outdoor adventure. So many of our units, if you look at the Scouts BSA, our venture crews, at those levels, and even at the Cub Scout level, but you know, at those levels, they were missing out on a long-term camp experience this summer in most cases, because most camps didn't run. So here's an opportunity to be out and enjoy some outdoor activities, and people are taking advantage of it.
Well, let me give you a slight observation. I think those 2 scenarios could describe 2 different units before COVID. One unit that has talky luxury announcement meetings and no games and no activities, and another unit who implements competitions and using the patrol method and, you know, the basics of scouting. I don't think it's just the fact that they're only doing video meetings. They're not engaging. Kids, Webelos especially, They are going to get bored, and they're going to find something to actually do.
Yeah, key point. So if you had a pretty good program to start with, you probably have a pretty good program right now because you figured out how to adapt and overcome from the Clint Eastwood movie. You understand? Okay, improvise, adapt, and overcome. Right? Amy, what are you doing out on the coast? What are you seeing out there? Are you seeing both ends of the same spectrum? What do you think? Can you talk to us for us?
I'm definitely seeing both ends of it. For us, I made the smooth transition to online, but I don't want to say I'm tech savvy. But one thing I've noticed with people in meetings is they're struggling with the virtual meetings because they're just not tech savvy and they don't know how to translate classroom into online because you don't have that hands-on experience. So you've got to be able to figure it out. I know there's some packs over here that aren't even meeting. My Troop 30 didn't meet for a long time. My son is in Troop 30. He didn't meet for a long time. And then when they did, it was really boring. It was just talking. That's all they did. And the kids got really bored and they needed projects. And so finally, the leaders just finally said, we're going to start. Once we were opened up, they're like, we're meeting in person because they had to get those kids in person. But there wasn't any, the people that are in charge of Troop 30 are not, they struggled with the online thing. And they started doing better, but it's been hard. The meetings for us, I keep them really short, sweet, to the point, and I keep activities going. I see when they're starting to squirrel. They start doing different things. And then I have one kid that always does this to the camera, and so I'll do it to him.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jordan, you got to come back around, buddy. But so that that's what we did. We did a planting project, and I got all the stuff out to my families, and we did planting, and I just, the key for me with and I have a lot of the littler ones, is I got to keep it 30 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Because it's just too hard. And we're moving to, we've been using Zoom, but I've been using the free version, and we're moving to paying for it so I can start recording all the meetings, because I've required parents to be there because I don't want anybody saying something inappropriate happened. So I've been requiring parents to sit there with their kid. And for the parent, it's hard for them to sit there for 30 minutes because they either are trying to make dinner or they have other kids going. So we've moved to the recording so that they can get up and not have to be stuck with the kid the whole entire time. And then that way we have the recording. If somebody says, hey, something was said or did or something, I can go back and show yay or nay.
Yeah, so you had a reasonable program to start with, and then you adapted to a different medium. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What is your professional background? Are you a teacher by background or what?
I'm a 911 dispatcher.
Okay.
And so I've just volunteered is all I've ever done. I just volunteer. I don't have any like education background.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've adapted to the current situation and decided you figured out how to move forward again. That's
we
cool.
have.
Yeah.
We have had 2 in-person meetings, and we've kept it very we've made sure we've maintained all the social distancing and everything. We've kept it very sorry, I'm cooking dinner. I didn't realize how noisy it got. We knew that they needed to be able to interact, and we were a fairly new pack, so everybody in our pack is new, like parents, kids, everybody. And so we hadn't had few meetings before we were shut down, so we knew we needed to get these kids together so that they can start interacting, and that's exactly what's happened. So on Tuesday when we had our pack meeting, we our son was a little slow in getting on because he was on his phone trying to get in. And when the kids is like, "Where's Silas? Where's Silas?" You know, and so to make that connection for us was big.
Yeah. Can we get Dean on here for a few minutes? Dean, can you talk to what your troop is doing? You've been especially active this past summer, but just give us a few minutes of your view.
So my view was it's a scouting program. I'm at the scout level. So I told my senior patrol leaders very early on, we need planned meetings, and I need them once a week. And as soon as we can, because we started off when we were still at what the group called at what Oregon called baseline. As soon as we can do activities, we will. And so what happened was we missed like 2 meetings, and then it switched over to Zoom. I went ahead and had the financial ability for myself to buy Zoom for myself. My mother-in-law uses it for for her business as well, so we kind of get a twofer there. So there wasn't any of the limitations. That first couple of months that COVID was in, Zoom actually opened it up and gave everybody the free one. So the first taste was free.
Right.
So I was good with Zoom and picked it up relatively well. The troops using it now. The scouts continued forward. Our first activity was we had other limitations because I've got a good collection of scouts who are financially difficulty and don't have cars. We had to meet at a transit center, which means the transit center, the Springfield Transit Center right behind it, has a wonderful set of hiking trails. Yes, they're all paved, but they are out in nature. So we hiked it one way once, and then the second time we hiked it a different way from Doris Ranch all the way back around. And that was a 5 mile. That's the scouts really kind of, no, the first one was a 5 mile. The second one was a 10 because we added to it. So the scouts really kind of enjoyed that. We continued forward with our summer event. And what our summer event consisted of, it ended up being, we originally planned 3, and the scouts talked us into a 4th. They were not able to convince us to a 5th. What that was is we went ahead and snagged Weyerhaeuser Woods, nice and close to our area. Went out there for just like a camp out, 2 nights, and then we'd come back for a night or 2, depending upon how long we were going. We skipped the weekends. We went ahead and locked that location up for 3 weeks, but we had people there almost, well, no, we had someone there continuously. But we had to do just the 2 nights because I couldn't get a sufficient amount of the troop to have a seat. And I wasn't going to say, oh, you have to go home, but you get to stay. No. And so it was a summer program. Now, we set up a bunch of orange cones that were all 6 feet apart. Several of the adults had walking sticks that were 6 feet long. And we regularly went around and went, okay, are you guys 6 feet apart? They were. We regularly, and it was masks required if you were not in your sleeping area. We didn't force them to sleep in masks. Of course, sleeping was either individual tent. Several of us had hammocks, but it was a beautiful summer. So a lot of the scouts just slept out, laid out a tarp and just slept there. And that was our event. Now, we did go ahead and we did it troop method. We didn't force the patrols to do the patrol cooking, and part of the reason for that was, as we understood the rules as we went in, there was a lot of difficulty on how to do the cooking, so we just went ahead. My wife has done a lot of cooking in the past for the troop. Typically, Malacca, this would have been our Malacca year. Typically, because we want the scouts out of camp, we go ahead and do a bit more of the cooking than we do at any other point at that summer camp. Last year we were at Baldwin, and Baldwin we go ahead and had the patrols cooking. But at Malacca, because we want them out of the camp, the adults do a lot more of the cooking, and at this event, we had the adults do a lot more of the cooking.
So if I could, it's safe to say that you continued on your Scouts BSA program, just did some adaptations to keep people healthy and safe, and moved ahead.
And moved ahead and gave my Scene Patrol some ideas, like one of their go-to games is scavenger hunt. Okay, we're all on Zoom. Go get your sun protection, and so you have to hold up a sun protection, or whatever, hold up a pocket knife. And so they, the scouts run off into their house and grab something. They like starting with the 10 essentials, and then they do weird stuff like, show us a broom, something that most households should have.
Right.
That's one of their go-to games. Now, since we got back from our summer event, we've gone ahead and just like we would have normally done, the meetings have gotten shorter and not as heavily regularly attended. This weekend after next, we'll go ahead and be our back to school meeting. So we'll start having, hey, nope, got to have your class A, no more just class B, and we need you there. As soon as we went to phase 2, as soon as we went to phase 2, we went ahead and we met at a local park one week, and then the next week we would meet on Zoom. That way we had 15 days apart from them in case anybody was concerned or had problems or this or that. Now this last couple of meetings, we've been light on a few things. So yeah, we hiccuped into more Zoom meetings, but that was still for a post-summer event, summer meeting, it was still really well attended. I mean, I had post Malacqua, 2 years ago, meetings where I'd show up with one of my sons because the other one didn't want to come, and it would be him and me at the meeting. It's like, okay, yeah, this wasn't well attended.
Yeah, and let me break in right there because we've only got a couple of minutes left. But Deanne, I'd like to pick up this conversation again with a different audience for sure, because you've got good experiences there. Melissa, glad to have you aboard one more time. Thank you so much. Yeah, glad to have you aboard. Really. Okay. I'd like to ask the generalized question. We've got 1, 2, 3. We've got 4 districts represented here. Is there anything else we need to do from a council standpoint to help our units be successful in the next several months? Anything that comes to mind? Kelsey, you've always had thoughts. Kelly, you see things differently because you're kind of new onto the scenery up there.
Have a council-wide Pinewood Derby.
Say what?
Have a council-wide Pinewood Derby.
Different than the Family Fun Fest going on right now.
Well, that's national, right? You mail it off.
Okay.
No, I'd like to see a council-wide.
Something more local. Yeah. Okay.
Well, where the kids can get their cars back.
Oh.
But similar to what they're doing, Kelsey?
Yeah.
Is that, yeah. Not necessarily I mean, the ones I'm familiar with are, you have your district Pinewood Derby, you take those winners, they go to the council level, but you're talking about just open invites. Anybody can turn their car in.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do a very similar and then turn around and get them back to the individuals. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
My battery's dying, so I'll probably disappear in a second.
Yeah, and you got a speedway down there at the Douglas County Fairgrounds, don't you? Yeah, thinking about dovetailing off of the Texas Motor Speedway idea. You see, just a thought. There's no local speedway in Lane County, Cottage Grove. Interesting thoughts. Okay.
There's one over by Coos Bay, and they're active.
Yeah, are they really?
Yeah, dirt track. Yeah. And there's a dirt track in Cottage Grove.
Yeah, and they're active. They don't have anybody in the stands, but they're active.
Well, I've been watching because I'm a dirt track fan. So if there's some places that are doing live racing, I'm all for that. That's for sure. Okay.
Yeah, the one out here is pretty nice. So yeah, they have something going on every Saturday. They even had fireworks there a couple weeks ago. It was really cool. My daughter went to it. So
Really?
yeah.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Kelsey.
All right. Anything else for the group? We're past our cutoff time. I didn't want to stop off any conversation. Kelly?
So Randy, I got a quick question, either for you or Scott. What's the official wisdom from BSA on whether we can meet indoors? Is it still outdoors, or is that up to the state of Oregon, or what's the official wisdom now?
The way we look at it is follow the restart guidelines from the BSA and the state guidelines related to the county that you're in.
Okay.
And if your sponsor institution has something, listen to them too, please.
Correct. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're talking about small groups if you're talking about an indoors environment.
Right, exactly.
All righty. I have to bail, but certainly invite everybody to stay aboard. But I think we're at the top of the hour, and maybe it's time to go do other scouting, huh?
Yeah, I will mention that we are working and trying to do as best we can for those outdoor experience. Kelsey, we've had recent communication talking back and forth, as you know, Randy, about hopefully maybe we'll get to do the Klondike this winter. So we're looking at how we can do that and still fit within the guidelines.
Yeah, that'd be a good deal. Okay. All right, 2 weeks out, we believe that we'll have Amy Beach and venturing, and there won't be a chat next weekend or next week, but we will meet for the week after. So have a great scouting evening, and I got to go. Y'all be good. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Melissa, Kelly.